How's it going, guys? Today we're going to be taking a look at some homemade pizzas. Well, mostly homemade. I opted to get store-bought crust for this. Making your own dough is definitely an easy way to take this to the next level though. But if you're like me and have a day job, sometimes you just don't have time for that, and store-bought crust will work just fine. I was able to find some deep dish and thin crust crusts that ended up coming with sauce. You can make your own or get a standalone sauce if you wish, but we're going for quick and tasty here, and it'll do just fine. If you're in a pinch, another great substitute for pizza dough would be naan. If you're feeling really fancy, get a garlic naan, and in some cases it may even be better than pizza dough. For all three versions today, we're going to be using mozzarella. I like to use a low moisture one so as to not make the pizza too greasy. In total, we used about 12 ounces of cheese per pizza. First up, we're going to make a deluxe version of a pizza. For this, we'll use pepperoni, a few slices of green pepper, and some cut up mushrooms. I ended up using about 5 mushrooms cut lengthwise. I personally don't like the texture of mushrooms, but I enjoy the taste. If you're like me, I like to cut them pretty thin so that they have a chance to crisp up in the oven. I tried to cut the green peppers into loops purely for aesthetics. You can cut them into strips or dice it up. It's really up to preference. For the pepperoni, you can get links and cut them into slices if you really wanted to, but it's much easier to get a nicer store-bought brand and just throw them on there. I went ahead and grated most of the cheese here, just so I didn't have to go back and grate them in between pizzas. For assembly, you're going to want to start by putting down a layer of sauce. Just as a tip, I find it easiest to spread it around the crust with a spoon. I personally don't like a lot of sauce, and I feel the spoon helps get a more consistent distribution. I've also been told that not liking sauce makes me weird, but yeah, here we are. When you're putting the cheese down, make sure you can see sauce through the cheese. This will melt down a lot in the oven, especially if you're using fresh cheese, and too much cheese could make the pizza soggy. And that's just gross. Just make sure to put the toppings on evenly and all the way to the outside of the pizza. I put it in the oven at 450 for about 5 minutes or until the crust was brown on the bottom and cheese had melted fully. And that's Fahrenheit, by the way. Don't be putting your pizza in the oven at 450 Celsius, please. This ended up being really good, but we can do better.
Ten out of 10.
That was so enthusiastic. The next pizza we're going to do is Hawaiian. I know, I probably just pissed half of you off by putting pineapple on a pizza, but I promise you it's really good. It's all in the ingredients. For this, we are going to use fresh pineapple and pancetta instead of diced ham, but you can use that too. When you're cutting the pineapple, try and make them in small rectangular pieces. If you leave the chunks too big, all you're going to get is hot pineapple juice with every bite, and even I don't think that would taste that great. You could fry the pancetta beforehand if you wanted to, but it comes pre-cooked and the oven is hot enough to render out some of the fat during cooking, so I just throw it on as is. The assembly should be the same for this one, just make sure to get the toppings out of the way of the edge. I gotta be honest, I was team no pineapple for a long time. If you have always been too scared to try Hawaiian pizza, I highly recommend using fresh pineapple. It's a night and day difference. This also ended up being my favorite of the three by far.
Really, really good.
Last up, we are going to make a caramelized pear concoction. For this, you will need prosciutto and goat cheese. I end up showing 2 pears here, but we only used 1. Some butter. It's the most budget looking butter.
Turn it. Oh my god.
Some brown sugar. And finally some balsamic vinegar. Like our other 2 pizzas, we are going to be using a low moisture mozzarella for this one as well. Cut the pear into slices. You'll want to make them on the thin side for this so that they have time to caramelize and there aren't tough chunks of pear on your pizza. We're not shooting for razor thin, so if they end up being a bit thicker, don't worry about it too much. Over medium heat, combine 2 tablespoons of butter with 2 tablespoons of brown sugar. Stir to combine and make sure all the sugar is dissolved. Once dissolved mostly, add in your pear slices, cooking for about 3 minutes on each side. Scoop them out into a bowl and set aside for assembly. You're going to want to work rather quickly for this one so that your pears don't stick and harden to the side of the bowl. It's not really a fun mess to be cleaning up. Instead of using tomato sauce, we're going to use a light layer of olive oil for the base of this pizza. Like before, we're going to follow that up by adding our cheese and spreading out our ingredients evenly across the pizza. For the goat cheese, you're going to want to add small blobs. This will melt and spread out when it's in the oven, so don't worry about coverage too much here. Throw in a drizzle of balsamic vinegar at the end for good measure and pop that sucker in the oven. Apparently this last one deserved a little pizza dance. Make sure to let it cool for a few minutes before digging in. Thanks for watching. If you liked the video, make sure to give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing. I have also made an Instagram page which I'm hoping to put some behind the scenes photos on and have mostly been using for reminders on Fridays so far. If that interests you, there's a link in the video description and I hope to see you there.